Hey everyone, this is Ricky with Spoiler Force Podcast, courtesy of Popluck Podcast. You can find more episodes of Spoiler Force Podcast on Apple Podcast, SoundCloud, YouTube, or on Facebook at facebook.com/popluckpodcast.
It's an LP beat.
And we are live. This is episode 13 of Spoiler Force Podcast. My name is Ricky, and thank you for tuning in. I hope you guys liked that introduction that I have for this episode. New introduction music. I was not expecting that as well. But I do want to give credit to where credit's due. Thank you, LP, for allowing me to use your music for my podcast. As I said to you as well through Facebook message, I am going to always give you your credit as well, and just to continue to use this new beat that you've uploaded on YouTube. So to anyone who wants to find out more of his music as well, check out Hmong Productions on YouTube. And for our non-Hmong listeners, it is spelled P-E-B as in boy, H-M-O-O-B Productions. So LP's been a pretty much a pioneer in the Hmong music industry for hip hop, and he's a producer, writer, rapper as well. What's funny is I do hope that I get him on the podcast one day. I did contact him as well, and hope he's responded as well to that. Hopefully we just find a good time to schedule a podcast episode together. And again, thank you a lot, LP, for letting me use your music as for the introduction and pretty much the outro for this podcast episode and for future episodes. You can always find his contact information on Facebook as well, and on YouTube for, again, it's Hmong. I'll post up his Facebook page in the description, so check that out. Make sure to continue to follow him as well and subscribe to his channel if you like his music. And he's always making good music, so you can contact him. I'm not too sure about his production rates, if he charges you to do studio time if you live in the Metro Detroit area. I'm not too sure about that. You'll have to contact him about that if you want to be a artist, or if you are an artist and want to have a studio session with a producer like LP, which I would highly recommend. So to continue on here, I've had an exciting week. I wasn't expecting for certain things to happen. I am going to play this clip here, that way you can see why it's been a crazy week. So here is something that I wanted to share with you as well on the podcast.
Ricky Vang. Ricky Vang. What is Vang? What's that ethnicity? Sounds Asian? Vang?
Well, say it like an Indian. Yeah, say that.
Ricky Vang. Yeah, it ain't Indian though.
It ain't.
Just listen to episode 99 of your podcast. Absolutely enjoyed you and Andy's review of the film and the perspective you guys had. I too grew up watching the Rocky films with my dad. What I wanted to say was what you and Andy said about chasing your passion and waiting for one's right time inspired me to continue my podcast that I've been working on. I'm only 10 episodes in my podcast and have been feeling uninspired because of simple rejections from guests. Trying to promote it and knowing people didn't give a fuck of what I had to say, but this overall episode reignited my reason of why I'm doing what I'm doing. Thank you guys for the perspective of the Rocky films and reading my email. And Aries, what you're doing now is incredible. Keep up the good work. Hopefully I'll get to meet you guys in person one day. You know what, Ricky? Because I like you, nigga, here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to be a guest on your podcast. So I'm going to shoot you my number, and then you call me, and we'll set it up. And I'll be a guest on your podcast. You're going to have a big, big dick to come to your table. And I mean that literally, and the other way, I'm not articulating enough to know the right word.
Figuratively.
This is why you got to have a Jew white boy on your team.
Dude, I'm in and out, man. Sometimes I know what I'm talking about.
And sometimes you fade the fuck out.
I do.
Yes, okay, you be having nigger lapses. Yeah, Ricky Vang, I got you, baby. Put the bat signal in the air. I'm going to help support you, my nigga. I don't really know if you my nigga, my Vietnamese, or my Hindu. But we'll figure it all out. All right, Rick? Keep your head up, baby. And don't let nothing discourage you. And when all else fails, nigga, get some pussy. Pussy has a way of massaging away what ails you. Get your dick sucked, son. Let me see your war face. Ricky Vang, keep your head up, baby. Don't ever stop. You know what I'm saying? Don't ever stop, nigga. If you don't stop, I won't stop. If I don't stop, you won't stop, nigga.
You hear that? Aries Spears responded to me. Crazy, right? I sent him an email during episode, like before episode 10. If, you know, just by the email that he read out loud, I was feeling a bit discouraged. Not just by guests, but like from just everything. It all built up, and I was close to just kind of like quitting, honestly. But man, you never know where you can get your encouragement from, man. It's amazing to know that there's someone like him to encourage you. And the thing is, he has a legit career, man. He was a Mad TV actor, sketch artist. He's a stand-up comedian for over 20 years. He was on he was one of the youngest people to do stand-up, actually. He was 16 when he started. And I've been listening to his podcast as well, so check out Spears and Steinberg by Aries Spears and Andy Steinberg, and check out their podcast, man. They've recently done their 102nd episode this week, or earlier this week. And yeah, they do a lot of good topics as well. If you're into black culture and to hip-hop films, stuff like that, they cover that. And yeah, man, I love the podcast. What's funny is I got into his podcast when I was working in downtown Detroit, and I was like so, I guess, just so unmotivated, and like I needed something to listen to on the drive there and back home. Where I worked at, it was like 40 minutes to the parking garage, and then I had to take another 15 minutes to get to my building in downtown Detroit. So I would listen to Aries' podcast on the way there and on the way back. So it killed a lot of time for me. Definitely check out his stuff. Check out his stand-ups. I consider him like an old school, comedian, because he still talks about things that are, I guess, sensitive to certain people these days. But man, he's a good artist, man. And the dude's genuine as hell. You could just tell how real he is just by how he talks on the podcast and how he treats people as well. I mean, some people don't like him, but I like how he is, and I like his persona, his attitude, who he is. He's real. He doesn't put up a front. So Aries, thank you so much for responding and replying to my emails as well. We've been I've been messaging him through email this week as well. I'm aiming for a date of Labor Day. Hopefully he does have time. I mean, I understand because he's on tour constantly and he's always working, and yeah, for him to even make time to consider, to say that he wants to be a guest on my podcast is going to be a big deal. So hopefully he does, not make time, but hopefully he does find some time. I understand if he's busy, and if he doesn't, and he can't do it, it's completely understandable. And he did a lot more for me, really, by just even saying that and giving me the words of encouragement. So thank you so much again. So yeah, man, I'm looking forward to that, Aries. So I can't wait. And what's funny is, I was geeking out so bad at work because I'm like, damn, dude, like this dude's really corresponding with me through email and communicating with me. This is insane. And I've known his career since like I was in, I guess, like early middle school, like 6th grade. And watching his career, how it goes. I mean, I wish he was like big, like Kevin Hart and Chappelle. I mean, but it's where it's so competitive as well, and he had his own personal issues that happened to him along the line. But man, I won't give up on you, Aries. So you're still one of the best out there. Very underrated. And for all those who hate on you, man, screw them. Because you know what? You got loyal fans like me who will always listen to your work and follow you. So thank you. So let's get on with this episode, man. again, this has been such a busy week for me, and with all this happening and trying to find guests and trying to book people and trying to find people to fill in some time slots, and trying to read up my comic books and stuff like that. So I've been really busy lately, and it's not a bad thing, really. I like it. It keeps my mind moving, keeps me thinking. It doesn't keep me like lazy. It keeps me stress free in a way, because like if I don't keep myself busy, I get stressed out, and then like I start getting lazy, and then all this negative shit happens to me. So I do want to talk about some things I have here as well. I'm behind on some of my books, where I've been behind, but there's some books that I bought this week that came in the mail that I wanted to read and go over, but I haven't. But I will go over like briefly what the premise is. So I did get Batman: The Last Night on Earth issue 2. It's a series from Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder. I believe I talked about the first issue in my previous episodes, so check that out. And I also bought Batman in Darkest Night. It's an Elseworld series, or an Elseworld book, really. And it's just a story where Batman becomes Green Lantern. I heard about this from Comic Storian's podcast too, so check him out. Yeah, I'm excited to read that one. It's just, a lot of the Batman stuff's always the best stuff because he's human, and so when he comes across something that's cosmic like the Green Lantern ring, I'm really excited to read what happens, because in the Dark Knight's Metal event, the evil Batman that had the Green Lantern ring, he was pretty powerful too, and he was able to take on Hal Jordan and use darkness instead of light. So that was pretty epic. And then I also bought the Superman Speeding Bullets, which is a story where the Waynes adopt Clark Kent instead of the Kents. So really, it's Clark Wayne. It's a story where Superman becomes Batman, and then he becomes Superman towards the end of the series. And so I'm excited to read that too. And usually all the stuff I buy, I'm always excited to read it. It's just I have to find time to read it. And this is honestly like the best time for me to do my podcast because no one's home. So it's quiet. And like the dogs are in the living room and they're just chilling on the couch. So that's some of the stuff I bought this week. And I also bought Spawn $2.99 as well, because the issue 300 is coming out next month, I believe. It's either... No, it's this month, August, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's August where Spawn issue 300 comes out, and it's a big deal because Spawn's been around for, I believe, 30 years now. So the 300th issue for Spawn is exciting, and they're published by Image Comics right now. And I believe there's rumors that the original writer is also trying to do a film, and I think Jamie Foxx was rumored to play Spawn, but I'm not too sure about that, so don't quote me on that. Now, I did read Batman Curse of the White Knight, issue number 1, which was a sequel to Batman White Knight. Just to give like an idea, Batman White Knight's an Elseworld story as well. But Curse of the White Knight is under the new DC Black label for mature readers. What happened in Batman White Knight, which is the prequel, Joker becomes Jack Napier, who is like his human side or his sane side, because Batman shoved like a bunch of medicine down his throat and attempted to kill him, but it actually made him sane. So Joker's personalities were conflicting, and just throughout the whole series you learn that Joker's trying to save Gotham, and then he turned Gotham on Batman, and you find out that Neo Joker, a female villain who is obsessed with Joker and was trying to be like Harley Quinn, but became Neo Joker because the real Harley Quinn came through and like beat her ass. But yeah, White Knight was a interesting take on Batman, where he's trying to... It's always like just that mental warfare with him and the Joker. And with issue number 1 of Curse of the White Knight, what happens is Jack Napier is back to being the Joker again in Arkham, and then like he escapes as always, but then he turns a soldier who has PTSD into Azrael. So that's an interesting read, or interesting issue. What's crazy too is about the beginning of this. In the beginning of this first issue, they show you like some sort of flashback to where the first Wayne, it's like old English times. He had like the fencing sword. They live in like Wayne Manor, and he's fighting someone named Laffy Arkham. and he pretty much beats him and throws him down he throws him into like a deep well or like a deep hole, which I assume is the Batcave at the time. But then like Arkham is such a big name in the Batman series because it's related to the Arkham Asylum, and I hope they go more into that history as well with Curse of the White Knight. So I'm excited to read the second issue next month as well. Now that's all I have so far for I guess comic books really. I've been reading a lot more manga this week as well, especially with My Hero. I love this. I love that series. I cannot say how much I love it because it's something where I love it because I always doubted what it was. So now that I realize how good this series was, I'm like, I jumped on the train. Yeah, let me just start with this trailer that they released as well for My Hero, the movie number 2, Heroes Rising. And from what I've read online on the Reddit pages is that the writer has turned this film towards the end of the actual series. So if you look at the trailer, there looks like someone who is dressed as All For One, who I believe is Shigaraki. And what's crazy in the manga right now, and from issues like 234, I believe, to 238 as of right now, has been all an origin for Tamura Shigaraki. And if you've known the story so far, you know that his grandmother is the teacher for All Might, and that was hidden from him. And then he obtained his quirk and killed his family. So the hands that are on him are actually his family members, which is insane. For Shigaraki, I believe he could possibly be the next All For One in that movie. I mean, he is adopted by All For One and took All For One's last name, which was a huge reveal in the manga because now we know who All For One's last name is. And for those of you who don't know, he gave the power for One For All to his brother, and then that from his brother passed that power on to people, and that became the power that Midoriya has. But in the trailer that they have, they show Bakugo and Midoriya fighting together side by side, and if you look closely at Midoriya's gloves, they're different from how they were in season 3, and that's because he got upgrades from what's that girl's name? The girl who does all the tech, and the one that calls all her like projects babies. Well, Midoriya has these new gloves that allow him to they're like his steel boots, where it helps him to control his power with One For All. And this is one of my theories, is that I think he believes that his hands are broken. And if you read the manga, and when he fights the villain for season 4, he has that little girl who can reverse time, and I believe she healed his arms without him knowing, because he goes 100% in that fight with him, and he goes all out, and then like she starts, because of her quirk, she can't control it. It was going crazy in Midoriya, and so Aizawa had to use his powers to stop the little girl's powers from going crazy. So I do believe Midoriya's arms are healed. He just doesn't know it. In that trailer, they show supposedly a beaten Midoriya and Bakugo on the floor, like their hands are reaching out to each other. But I do believe that this is going to be more centered around Bakugo, and there are translated trailers on YouTube as well. And you know, they kind of go off of where All Might was teaching them that Midoriya needs to be like Bakugo, and vice versa, because they both have qualities of each other that they need to be a great hero. But I do believe this film is going to be more centered around Bakugo than Midoriya. But if it is towards the end of the series, though, it's pretty wild, because I hope that the manga somehow catches up to that point before it releases in the States. Now, I also think that if they don't reveal more of Midoriya's quirks, that's going to suck too, because for those of you who don't know, Midoriya does have multiple quirks. He unleashed a second quirk in the team battles against Class A versus Class B. So I hope they reveal more of that as well. I do believe All Might is going to die later on in the series, and hopefully, not hopefully, it sounds wrong, but I do think that one or maybe even two of the students of the Class 1A is going to get killed. they have to do it to give some sort of a story change or direction. They cannot. I don't believe they can be this happy and go lucky this entire series. Someone has to die. It has to be a huge impact for the main characters to want to change or to have some sort of motivation. And if I do think that they were going to get rid of one character, I think Tokoyami would be one. The guy with the bird face with dark shadow as his quirk. Either him or like one of the weaker students, like Aoyama, the guy with the belly button laser, or shit, even what's her name? Sui, the frog girl. Forgot her name already. There's so many names in this series. It's hard to remember everything. But yeah, the girl with the frog quirk. I think she's gonna get killed too. Someone has to die for it to stay interesting. I don't believe that this series can go on with everyone trying to survive at the end. So I do want to talk about some other stuff as well with like that's involved with anime and some sort of like I guess manga. I know I've been watching Demon Slayer lately. I know there's a new episode today. I haven't watched that yet as well. Also, there's Fire Force as well, and I haven't watched the new episode either. I'm behind on that. It's so wild because there's like stuff I had to constantly keep up on, and then like finding time to podcast, and yeah, everything's getting mixed up right now. I promise I will have the scheduling stuff fixed. That way I can properly talk about the stuff that's up to date. But as of right now with Demon Slayer, it's another Zenitsu episode, and he uses his powers like sixfold. That's what he was calling it. Like it was his first the dance, the lightning dance, it's times sixfold, and like he becomes like a Super Saiyan pretty much. And you learn more about his origins too. Like he got shocked by lightning, which is why his hair is blonde, and he's such a spaz. But his teacher never gave up on him, so he only really knows one technique. But at the same time, he has to be fainted in order to wake up that other side of him. And I did read a little bit of spoilers where someone did comment and say that he does find a way to master that eventually. So I do hope that maybe not this season, but next season they'll probably show more of that for Zenitsu. And man, like it's funny, his character's so annoying, but I like it for some reason. It gives it a more like a real depth into it, like his character, that he's always afraid, but as long as he doesn't give up, that's what makes a great character as well. And I did want to talk about One Punch Man as well. I don't believe I went over the finale of the season 2. They ended it off with Saitama beating the Centipede King who wanted to fight Blast, and it was a funny scene because like King, who is considered the strongest hero, but really isn't. he confronts Centipede King, and like one of the agents are like, I can hear his lion roar like getting ready, and just his heartbeat beating rapidly. And once Centipede King comes after him, he starts screaming. He's like, Saitama, save me! And Saitama comes in. And what's funny, the differences in the manga is Saitama like does the typical anime where they shout out their attack. So pretty much he does his 100% punch, or his secret series punch, to Centipede King. That in the manga it explains, or it displays that, which I liked a lot more than how the TV show or how the anime series did. But it's still pretty awesome to see that be like animated, because Saitama was like so stressed out from losing in video games to King that he had to like take it out on something, so he obliterated Centipede King. I mean, even before that, like Gaara was fighting Silverfang and his Silverfang's brother, and he was still surviving, and he even was able to take on Genos too. So I'm excited to see more of the animated episodes for Gaara. In the manga, I don't believe they're not in the manga. I don't think that they're anywhere near Garu's story yet to further his story. But right now they're still fighting the S-class heroes with like the top villains. And the last chapter I left off that was with Atomic Samurai fighting the villain in Black Sperm. Yeah, that's the villain's name, Black Sperm. Like he can duplicate himself and increase like his physical size as well. But it doesn't really confirm that if Atomic Samurai lost, but he was able to find ways to outsmart him, and like in close quarters, he's able to use a technique to where like it's where Black Sperm can't regenerate. So he was using that technique as well, and then Black Sperm defeats him, or supposedly defeats him, but because they go into the next battle where Zombie Man, who's another S-class hero, fights another villain, and he's like obliterating Zombie Man because the thing is with Zombie Man, he constantly regenerates, but it looks like he's getting his ass whooped, and that's where it leaves off so far in the manga that I'm reading. Now, I forgot to touch up on this as well. I was reading My Hero Academia Vigilantes. I just finished volume 2. Now with Vigilantes, again, it's a side story or a spin-off series of the My Hero Academia universe. With volume 2, you learn that Koichi, or the main character who's learning his quirk to slide, he runs into Ida's brother Tensei Ida, who is actually Ignium, before he gets beat up by Stain. So he learns how to use his quirk from him, like how to better his quirk from him, like from racing him. And you also see that he gets offered an internship to Tensei Ida's his team, but he doesn't realize that Koichi is a vigilante, so he's fighting outside of the law. So he takes the card back. And later on in the series, you see that there's someone called Steindahl, who is another vigilante who's fighting, and he actually saved Koichi from a villain that had the trigger virus, which is a virus that amplifies someone's quirk at random. But Stain defeats this guy, and you can see that he's more like into killing villains at this point. And not Stain, but Steindahl. Steindahl is his name before he becomes Stain, but Steindahl is interested in killing villains. And then throughout the series, he's given like information from one of the villains with the beak. What's her name? Let me just look up her name really quick. From Kuin. She has she's like a queen bee quirk. She can send out like bees to do her job and inject the trigger virus into people as well. And she was like working in between them, giving Steindahl certain information and telling people that they need to run away because someone's hunting them and setting them up. So where Steindahl's trying to attempt to kill someone, one of the people with quirks, Soga. He's actually one of the guys in the beginning of the Vigilante series. He has like a spike quirk, and Qin injects him with the trigger virus, and he becomes like a giant hedgehog with a bunch of spikes like a porcupine. And so when right before Steindahl kills him, Koichi comes in and intervenes because he catches them fighting. And then right before Koichi's like losing, you see that Steindahl throws a knife and hits Koichi's leg and then prevents him from sliding, and he licks the blood, and it completely stops his quirk. And for those of you who don't know, Steindahl's quirk is Blood Curdle, and he can stop you from using your abilities or immobilize you. And then so right before he attacks them, Knuckle Duster comes in and beats his ass with one punch, pretty much. And that's what motivates Steindahl to become Stain, to kill people who are pretending to be heroes, because he realizes that he doesn't have the determination to become a hero. So he becomes Stain. And that's pretty much a summary of what happened in volume number 2. That's all that like were the key points really. Just to show like more story for these other side characters that people loved. Again, with My Hero Academia Vigilantes, I love it because of all the Easter eggs and all the stuff that you catch from the actual main series into this series, and it's all connected. I just love stuff like that, probably because of the Marvel films. I did go watch some films as well this week and actually last week. I did mention earlier I watched Hobbs and Shaw. I'm just gonna review that really quick here. Hobbs and Shaw, I gave that a 2.5 out of 5. I rate my films on a 5-star scale, but I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. Why? Because it's as entertaining and as action packed as it is. That story was all over the fucking place, man. It was crazy because I mean, it's comedic at times, but what happened to Owen Shaw, man? What happened to Owen? Because he was in Fast 6 and Fast 7 and Fast 8, really. He never came back from that injury because I remember in Fast 8, he helped Deckard Shaw fight on that plane. And then they don't ever mention him again. And then The Rock was just, or Dwayne Johnson was just being The Rock the whole time. Nothing too different from how he is in his other movies. And it's just a constant bickering of him and Jason Statham going back and forth, a buddy cop film. It just Elba becomes, or is the villain, and he has like mechanical abilities that enhances his physical form. That was a lot. It didn't even feel like a Fast and Furious film. It just felt like, if had it been named something else besides Hobbs and Shaw, or like Fast and Furious Presents or something like that, it would have been an okay film. But it's just, I catch all this small shit, like they're driving the Jeep and there's no covering of the Jeep, and they're driving and busting through windows. No one's cut, no one's hurt, none of that shit. And like, because Idris Elba's character is so enhanced, he's still able to beat the shit out of both Statham and Dwayne Johnson, yet they're both not hurt or broken. And then especially towards the end, where Dwayne Johnson was like, he hooked the helicopter with the chain on the truck, and like the chain starts getting loose, and he grabs the chain, he was able to pull onto it. And he's not even a superhero, man. What's up with these Fast and Furious characters being superheroes and shit, man? I want to see Nick Fury come and recruit them for the Avengers. Tony Stark could use their help to fight off Thanos, man. Because if Hobbs can hold a helicopter by a chain and hook it back up to the truck, man, that's some superpower strength right there, man. And the storyline is just cheese. It was, I don't know, man. Again, besides all the action and the comedic stuff, it wasn't that good. What really made that movie shine out was Ryan Reynolds and Kevin Hart's cameos. Kevin Hart is just being his normal self, this obnoxious, annoying, talkative character, and Ryan Reynolds was just Wade Wilson the whole time. And it's so funny because now Ryan Reynolds, whenever he speaks or acts or even is himself, really, he's just pretty much Deadpool the whole time. And I believe he's convinced that he's Deadpool. But man, Ryan Reynolds was the best part of that movie. I wish he had like more screen time. And then last weekend, I also watched Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with Leo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt. I don't know if that film is like 100% true. I know it's based off of some truth, like the actors' names and the setting and whatnot, but I don't know if the events were exactly true. Mike Moe, who played Bruce Lee, was pretty good. If you don't know who Mike Moe is, he actually played a live-action Ryu in the Street Fighter Assassin's Fist series on YouTube. I don't believe you can watch that anymore. I think they had it on DVD and Blu-ray at one time, so I'm not too sure about that. But yeah, I liked how he portrayed Bruce Lee, but Bruce Lee's daughter, Shannon Lee, was offended by it. I'm paraphrasing here. Based on the article that was shared by her, she was saying that they portrayed her father to be arrogant and cocky when he's not. Which I don't believe Bruce Lee's like that, but at the same time, I think she has to look at the way where the general public looks at Bruce Lee. Because if you don't know Bruce Lee's history, then yes, I believe he does come across like that, where he's like he has a lot of belief in him, kind of like Muhammad Ali. That belief system that they have helps them to maintain their confidence, but at the same time, it looks like they're being cocky. So I can see why some people who don't know Bruce Lee like that or know his history like that would assume that Bruce Lee acts the way he does because he thinks he's good or that good, but he is that good, which is it's like an endless debate. But I thought the portrayal of Bruce Lee was pretty good. Do I take offense to it? Not really. But I do understand that that's Shannon Lee's father, and she's still trying to carry on her father's legacy. So I hopefully everything's all right with that side of Hollywood. But man, that movie was great. It's not the best Tarantino film, but it had like the Tarantino aspects to it. Man, they start off with the big storyline, introduce these characters, and what I love about Tarantino is that how he brings all these characters back together. Especially at the end where Brad Pitt kills off like those hippies. That was an insane scene because it was fucking wild, man. He beats that dude's head in with the fire extinguisher. The pit bull goes crazy and bites the dude's dick off. The girl's face gets smashed into the counter or like the wall mount on the fireplace. And then the other girl gets dragged by the pit bull too. And then she breaks through the back door and falls into Leo DiCaprio's pool. And Leo's character, Rick Dalton, he grabs a flamethrower he had from a previous movie set and uses it on her and burns her alive in the pool. And so it's pretty wild. And yeah, I liked it a lot. I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I mean, anything with Leo in it, I watch. And especially the fact that him and Brad Pitt worked together in that film, that was a big deal too. And Margot Robbie, man, she looks so beautiful in that movie. She played like an actress who, what actress did she play? Sharon Tate, where she's like kind of like not that popular anymore, but then like it's where she's with someone who's popular just to stay relevant. And she lives next door to Rick Dalton, which was Leo's character. And then at the end they meet, and then he gets into like movie talks with them, and pretty much his acting career is secure again. But I gave that movie a 3 out of 5. I think it's worth watching. I paid for it, so I think that movie was worth watching. It's pretty long and it's a lot of details that you have to watch and a lot of dialogue. So if you're into that, then definitely watch that movie. Let's see here. Oh yeah. So I did pre-order the Avengers Endgame at Best Buy as well, and I also pre-ordered Batman Hush on Blu-ray and DVD, which is coming out August 7th. No, August 6th. And I should be getting it August 7th through Target, because Target has the DC animated steelbooks. Hopefully it comes in not damaged though, because the last time I bought a steelbook from Target, that shit was ruined and I was pissed. But I'm excited to watch that. I've read the series like once for Batman Hush. I know that Jim Lee had a lot of details in that story, and with this movie, I feel like I agree with what one of my former guests said, Chin. He said that it should be 2-parter instead of an individual film, because there's just so much to cover in that story. I'm excited to get my Avengers copy as well. I just want to watch the behind the scenes stuff and the deleted scenes. And also I bought Elite's Battle Angel as well on Blu-ray. Watching that movie the second time was actually better for me for some reason. I think that first time I must have been tired or not that awake, or awoke, or that's the right term. I wasn't like physically 100% up yet, pretty much, put it that way. But watching it the second time, I enjoyed it a lot. Now I do get cringy when she goes like hiya, because like I feel like that's so typical for any martial artist character to do hiya. No, why can't she just go like grunt or something, like, or exhale like a fighter, like they could have just done that. But no, they gave her the hiya. But man, I'm excited though. I think the second part by James Cameron should be good for Elite's Battle Angel. I do want to get the manga too. I've never read the manga. I believe it was an anime too. I don't think I've ever watched it. But for some reason I do feel like I must have came across it at one time as a kid, because I do remember that series. I just don't have like an exact memory of when I watched the anime or something like that. But I'm excited for the sequel as well. I believe they're trying to push that to a trilogy. But with James Cameron, it'll take forever because he still hasn't come out with a sequel to Avatar 2 or the sequel to Avatar. Avatar was, I don't know, man. People give that movie so much hate. I thought it was great. It's one of the first films that was like directed and recorded on, like, I believe the IMAX cameras and all that CGI. I mean, I remember the first time watching it, how beautiful it was, scene wise, like the environment and everything. I thought it was a good story too. But you know, Avengers fans love Avengers. It's just the comic book fans and the big fandom of Tony Stark and Cap as well, and the general public and people who don't really know the comic books, or more like casual fans who go watch it. But yeah, man, Avengers topped that too. They broke the record and beat Avatar. The memes are pretty good. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it for this week. Besides the fact that I'm waiting for guests, I think I covered everything I did this week. I really do. So yeah, guess this episode isn't too long. Man, again, thank you to everyone who's been listening, and thank you for all those who agreed to be my guest or who has interest as well. Thank you to all those who I reached out and corresponded with. Again, thank you to LP for letting me use your music for my podcast. Thank you, Aries Spears, for even giving me time to contact you. And again, I cannot repeat this enough, man. Like, if I can get Aries Spears to be at my podcast, that'd be such a big deal for me, and I'm excited for that. I really am. Anyone else, man? Like if you're listening to this and you want to be a guest and you live in the Metro Detroit area, message me, man, or email popluckpodcast@gmail.com, or Instagram message me, like, or something. Because if you've got something that you feel like you can bring to the table, then that's a good topic to talk about. I won't turn you down, even if you're not interesting. Sounds mean, but I don't mind talking to you on my podcast. I just like the idea of having guests and having people who are creative and talk about whatever content that they're working on, or if they have certain ideas or any knowledge that I might not know of and they want to share their opinions. I don't mind. I'll talk to anyone, really. And because everyone's got a story, man. It's just, how do you want to go about it? Yeah, thank you to everyone again. I can't repeat myself enough, man. I feel like I have to do something about it. Saying thank you isn't enough to those who has been listening and supporting, and to those who's been interacting with the Pop Luck Podcast page as well, and sharing our post, or sharing any of the episodes as well. So if you're interested in that, again, message popluckpodcast@gmail.com. All the contact information will be in the description for the episodes as well. You can listen to this on Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, Apple Podcast. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this week. My name is Ricky. This is Spoiler First Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Hopefully, my next episode, I have more to talk about as well, to cover, because, oh yeah, that's right, I do want to end off with this. Next weekend, I will not be recording an episode. I will be out of town with my family up near the Sleeping Bear Dunes. I may record one just in case, but I really doubt it. I'll be gone for that weekend. And then the weekend after that is Michigan Comic-Con in downtown Detroit. I'll be going there with Andrew Lee. I believe it's at the Cobo Hall, the Michigan Comic Convention. Not Comic-Con, Comic Convention. It's a different brand. Yeah, I'm excited to go there. I'm going to meet Veronica Taylor and meet Rob Paulson. Probably find some Funko Pops and some comic books as well. I don't plan to have a huge budget, but it's Comic-Con. I tend to spend more anyway. And then after that, I probably will have an episode with Andrew where we discuss and review Michigan Comic Convention. And then I have another guest who is a Marine. After that, hopefully I can do 2 episodes in one night, but if not, I'll edit and record the episode I have with Andrew that we have when we review Michigan Comic-Con or Michigan Comic Convention. And then with my second guest after, I'll probably record the Sunday after, and then upload and edit and upload that later that week. That way, again, there'll be like 2 episodes within a week. So I'm looking forward to that as well. And then again, yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's just some last minute stuff there I forgot to mention. So again, thank you for listening. My name is Ricky. This is Spoiler First Podcast. Continue to read your comic books and watch your anime. And also check out Indochina Gardens in Boyne City. Again, these are potential sponsors that I may have, but I will continue to advertise them as well because I know them. They make some of the best Chinese food on the planet. Their fried rice is literally a Krabby Patty of fried rice. It's unique, one of a kind. It's not the typical fried rice you can find. It's high quality. So definitely check them out if you are near Boyne City. So yeah, thank you again, and have a great day. If you enjoyed this episode, follow my Instagram at RickyVang92, RICKYVANG92, and follow Popluck Podcast on Facebook.com/PopluckPodcast.